Welcome back to Roxham TV. I'm your host, Jeremy. If you have been following the news since our last show yesterday, you can feel it. The world is getting more unstable and things are moving fast. So today we are diving straight into the biggest global development shaping markets right now. We'll talk about Iran, where protests have escalated into a nationwide communication blackout. We'll break down the arrest of Chen Zhi and what it reveals about crime, crypto, and corruption in Southeast Asia. And we will also ask a very important question for investors. Will geopolitics heating up with geopolitics heating up, is it a good time to look at precious metals like gold and silver? So before we get into all of that, we are going to start where we always do with Bitcoin. So let's take a look at the charts and go through the latest technical levels and see what price action is telling us right now. Then we will move into the news and connect the dots. So first thing first, let's start with the daily. Daily is actually looking pretty good with this relief rally doing exactly as we predicted, following the 4-year cycle pretty well. So the reason why I'll say this is I'm spotting this nice ascending triangle pattern playing out. So how we spotted this ascending triangle is basically we have this resistance at $94,000. So whenever we Bitcoin try to test this level, we end up getting rejected, and so that's what happened on 6th of January as well, and then we got rejected. However, we also got this nice ascending support. So this is actually a bullish pattern. So how do you predict where Bitcoin is going to? So since we are at this bullish setup, usually we just take the width of the ascending triangle, and then we take that to predict where Bitcoin might be going to. So like I won't be surprised like in the coming weeks or maybe in the coming days we go up to 105k. This is like, okay, despite going to 105k, this is still a technical bear market because, as I always mention, if we zoom out here, looking at the daily, anything below 108k, this is still a technical bear market. So this is very much just a relief rally after, I would say, a typical bear flag patterns to sweep short positions out of the market before heading lower. So this is officially the second stage of the bear market, and usually during this phase people like to say, okay, see, I told you so, this is a different market after all, things are not the same and history doesn't repeat. I mean, I do agree history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes, and so far looks like it's playing out the pattern that we expected. And during this phase, we're going to hear all this bullish sentiment. For example, I'm seeing news on Twitter, everyone's talking about how the UAE is buying the dip, is getting in the market when everyone is fearful. And basically so much bullishness I'm sensing. For example, alt season or meme coins, like meme coins are pumping so much in the past few days, and people are so hyped and think maybe this is going to be a long-awaited one that we haven't seen since 2021. And TradFi is shielding crypto really hard every single day on social media or on traditional media or CNBC. Not to mention, Trump is pushing for rate cuts. So we know whatever Trump is doing, even for the Venezuela situation, what he's trying to do is, okay, control the oil market. So when the oil price goes down, there will be, so inflation is going to be under control. So if inflation is going down, that would further justify Donald Trump's rate cuts plans. And whoever replaced Jerome Powell, we know that he's going to bow to Donald Trump, and we know that that person going to cut rates before Donald Trump even say a word. So this is all the bullishness I'm sensing, and Trump is also pushing for the newborn baby program. So the newborn babies in the United States, they're gonna have I think more than $1,000 or $2,000. I can't remember on top of my head. And what these money goes is directly goes straight into the traditional stock market, so S&P 500. So there are so much bullishness, like all these macro analysts are still pretty bullish. However, okay, I do agree. We are looking at the daily charts right now, so kind of shorter time frame. We're not getting down into the hourly or even on the 5-minute chart. So in the coming days, like as I mentioned, since this since this ascending triangle is playing out and this is a bullish setup, however, zooming out, this still looks like a bear flag to me. Okay, so one thing very interesting about Bitcoin's price action is how deviate it became to the S&P 500, because S&P just keep breaking new all-time highs, zooming out. Like we didn't really have a crash, and the crash that was back in all the way like last year. So February 2025, we dipped from 6,100 down to 4,800. So that was a kind of a scary one. But one thing very interesting about the market, this market setup. So back in the days, we had like a 21% crash. So people was really scared. Maybe it's a bear market. But right now, it's very interesting because Bitcoin is going down on the right now we're looking at the daily, while the S&P 500 is still on a major rally and keep breaking new highs. And this is quite unusual because the correlation between the S&P 500 and the BTC price is about like 0.7, but like right now, especially for the past 2 or 3 months, it deviates till a point that people are saying, okay, everything is on a rally, traditional markets, and silver and gold, we're going to get into that in a bit, but BTC and altcoins are not doing so well. So this is an interesting setup. And zooming out to the weekly time frame on BTC as well. Sorry about that. So on the weekly time frame, like the reason why, like despite seeing this ascending triangle being a bullish setup, I'm not turning bullish because if we zoom out and look at the ground scheme of things, we'll notice, okay, this is the Ichimoku cloud, and we are just like doing the exact same thing as last cycle. So back in 2021, we were trading inside this Ichimoku cloud for 3 months. So we are just like basically consolidating. So there's really not much reason for me to feel the excitement just yet. Like I'm not, as a trader, okay, trading and investing, they're two different mindsets because like I feel like there's some confusion out there in the community. So trading is more like the shorter time frame, doing in and out, trading the market very consistently, while investing is more a long-term perspective. So DCA, that's a long-term investment because you can just get into the Bitcoin market without thinking about the Bitcoin's price. But trading, there's a different mentality. So right now, as we're looking at TA, well, I'm just focusing on the trading mentality. All right. So trading wise, it looks like in the coming weeks, we will just be, okay, let's zoom closer into the Ichimoku cloud and look at where is the possibly floor price and the resistance price. So right now, the floor price is 86,000. And it could go all the way up to 104K, which is also aligned with the ascending triangle I was giving out just a few minutes earlier in the show. So that means like there isn't much reason for me to be excited, but that being said, there's massive opportunity to trade inside this cloud if you guys are more advanced trader. But like personally, I'm not doing any leverage. Like some people would, okay, pull a short when we see Bitcoin getting close to the resistance level, or maybe just like get in the spot position, like when Bitcoin get to 85 or 87K, somewhere around that. This is just a general rule of thumb. So this is how trading works, and I personally find it really fun, but I'm staying away from leverage, and especially from altcoins as well. Like I'm not touching leverage for altcoins because right now is like we can see there's huge manipulation in the market maker side of things. So doing leverage, that's extremely dangerous. I don't advise any of my viewers do that. So in other words, like in the coming weeks, since that we had actually, let's pull up the Bitcoin monthly returns chart. So Bitcoin monthly return, we had 3 consecutive red months since October. And this is a pattern, like historically speaking, there are 6 times that we've done that. So when we have 3 consecutive red months, like usually the next month gonna follow with a relief rally, and generally let's see if we end up getting a green number, because this pattern has been played out 6 times throughout Bitcoin history. So let's see if that's gonna play out again. Like history doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. So this also aligned with the TA I was giving out, the Ichimoku cloud. Since the Ichimoku cloud like it's going up, then I would say, okay, like even if we pump all the way to 104 or 105K, this is still a technical bear market. But that being said, it doesn't mean you can't swing trade or day trade, like if you know what you're doing. All right, so that is the quick update on the Bitcoin side. Let's also hop on to the news analysis right now. So Iran has gone dark, and that's when things get dangerous, because Iran isn't just facing protests anymore. Iran has gone nearly silent. Over the past 24 hours, the government has shut down communication across the country, and historically speaking, when Iran cuts the internet, violence usually follows. This is a major escalation, and after what the US just did in Venezuela, the world is paying very close attention. So let's break this down clearly. The protests in Iran began in late December. At first, it was all about money, like food prices exploded. Let's actually take a look at the Iran's inflation. So we are looking at the past year of Iran inflation. So this is an up-only chart. If we take from a low, so December, like, okay, that is not a very low. So December 2024, Iran had 31.4% inflation. Like, I could only imagine what the local citizens are going through. And right now, in October 2025, Iran is experiencing 48.6% inflation. And this is the general headline inflation. If we zoom into the food inflation, like the everyday grocery, like necessity, like it got even more out of control. September 2025, food inflation is 57.9%. Like this is one of the reasons why there's a huge protest going on. A huge protest broke out in late December. And another reason is the local currency absolutely collapsed against the USD. But this has now turned political. Like right now, the protests have spread across all 31 provinces, and more than 100 cities are involved. This is no longer isolated anger. Protesters are openly calling for the end of Islamic Republic and the removal of the current leadership. Some are even calling for the return of monarchy. That tells you how deep the frustration runs. So, in the past 48 hours, merchants, local merchants, have gone on strike. government buildings have been attacked, and IRGC-linked facilities have been targeted. And these strikes do matter because when merchants work, the economy stalls, and that's when the regimes panic. And the response have been brutal. Security forces have used live ammunition, raided hospitals to arrest wounded protesters, and deploy mass arrests. But the biggest move came next. So starting yesterday, the Iranian okay, here's the graph. The Iranian government imposed a near total communication blackout. So here's the announced IP address space in Iran. You see there's like a blackout basically. What it means in plain English is the internet access dropped to 1 to 3% of normal levels. Mobile data is mostly unstable. In some areas, even landline phones were cut. That means families can't contact each other and journalists can't report in real time. Monitoring groups show internet traffic almost flattening, and this is not new actually. Iran used the same tactic back in 2019 and 2022, and both times it was followed by mass crackdowns. The goal here is pretty simple, is to create an information vacuum so force can be used without weakness. At least dozens have already been killed, and the blackout makes it very hard to know the real number. And this is really where Starlink came into enter the story. So Starlink is of course the satellite internet operated by Elon Musk. Unlike normal internet, it does not rely on cell towers. It does not use local cables. It beams internet directly from space to a small terminal on the ground. That makes it extremely hard for governments to shut down. So in Iran, wait, not this one actually. So in Iran, thousands of Starlink terminals have reported being smuggled in over the years. During the blackout, calls exploded for Starlink to be activated nationwide. There are unconfirmed but widely reported claims that Starlink access has been quietly enabled in parts of Iran. Some protest footage is getting out because of it. Free access may be extended for weeks. However, there are still limits, like only a small number of terminals. The regime is trying to jam Starlink signals, and speeds are really slow and uneven. Still, even limited assets matters right now because one video getting out can change global pressure instantly. This is why protesters are calling Starlink a lifeline. Now, so let's get to US, how US is responding. So Donald Trump has issued strong warnings. He has said the US is locked and loaded. Iran will face consequences if protesters are killed. The US stands with the Iranian people. In the past, the market might dismiss this as a bluff because Donald Trump always chickens out, right? But not anymore because just days ago, the US used force in Venezuela. That changes how threats are perceived. So far, from the US side of things, no troop movements, no formal intervention, and no new sanctions announced. But after Venezuela, the credibility of US warnings is much higher. The whole world is watching what the US is going to do next, especially Russia. Like why Russia is on the table right now. Iran is one of Russia's most important allies. So Russia depends on Iran for military drones, for weapon supplies, sanctions, invasions, and influence in the Middle East. So Iran is sitting in the middle. So right here, Russia is on the top, while US is all the way there. So if Iran weakens or collapses, Russia loses a key partner, and it would lose its global credibility, and also its war effort elsewhere becomes much harder for Russia. That's why any US move on Iran would be seen as a direct strategic blow to Moscow. US is really interested in building military in Iran because US can watch over Russia and China. It's like kind of between Russia and US, so it makes sense why Donald Trump want to build something in Iran or make control Iran. So the key takeaway here, let's be clear, this is not just about protest. This is about a regime under pressure and a new era of physical sanctions enforcement. This situation can escalate really fast, and what happened next in Iran will ripple through in the oil market, in geopolitics, and global risk. So we'll be watching this very closely as it develops. So let's take a short break for now, and after that, we're going to dive into the breaking news in Asia because the largest scam boss in Asia has been arrested. So stay with us.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
He's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy, Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick, monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back, everyone. We're now going to dive into the news in Asia. One of the biggest scam bosses in Asia has been arrested, extradited overnight, and paraded by Chinese state TV in handcuffs. So this man, he ran forced labor scam camps, crypto fraud networks, illegal casinos, and one of the biggest money laundering operations we've ever seen. And for years, he was protected by the Cambodian government. So this story is about crime, crypto, corruption, and how Southeast Asia became a global scam hub. So let's get into details of this guy. The man at the center is Chen Zhi. He was the founder and chairman of Prince Holdings Group, a Cambodian scam involved in real estate, banking, finance. And Chen Zhi was born in China, but then he moved to Cambodia in around 2015 and rose incredibly fast. By 2018, he got a Cambodian citizenship. He has built close ties with the ruling party and became a regular guest of political elites. On the surface, he looked like a young tycoon, but behind the scenes, he was running a criminal empire. So on 6th of January, Cambodian police arrested Chen Zhi, and this was not random. The arrest was made at China's request and after months of international pressure. Just one day later, so on 7th of January, he was extradited to China. Chinese state media showed Chen Zhi hood and in handcuffs and escorted by armed police. This was quite deliberate, I would say. Beijing wanted to send that message to the world that this man is finished, he's done. So, what he was actually running, and in terms of the scam factories, according to the US and international investigators, Chen Zhi ran China's largest, actually Asia's largest transnational scam organization. His operations include something called pig butchering, crypto romance scams, illegal online gambling, money laundering, and human trafficking. He allegedly operated at least 10 forced labor compounds in Cambodia, and inside this compound, workers were trafficked with fake job offers, passports were confiscated, people were beaten and tortured, workers were punished for missing scam targets. These were modern slave camps, and based on this picture, apparently these are the phones that Chen Zhi has been forcing the victims to use just to scam other people online. Victims came from China, Southeast Asia, and way beyond that. And victims worldwide lost tens of billions of dollars. Now, here's the uncomfortable truth. This did not happen by accident. Like for nearly a decade, Chen Zhi was protected by the Cambodia's political system. The reason why Chen Zhi was protected because he donated millions of dollars to Cambodian government. He funded infrastructure in Cambodia, and he even received elite donor titles. Scam compounds operated openly, but police were locked away and officials were paid off. Cambodia consistently ranks near the bottom globally for corruption. This was state-enabled crime, and Chen Zhi himself, he did not hide it. He was enabled. And right now, let's talk numbers, like how much money he has scammed. So, U.S. authorities, they managed to seize, so let's go to the balance sheet. So, US authority managed to seize 127,000 BTC, which is worth around $15 billion. This is the largest crypto seizure in US history. And not only BTC assets that Chengdu has, Chengdu also have other luxury cars and yachts and properties and cash around the world. And across Hong Kong, London, Singapore, Taiwan, Chengdu even brag about making $30 million a day. Even if that number is exaggerated, the scale is still quite massive. Scams generated the money and crypto helped move it fast. So China actually has strong reason to add to this, and now that US has the attention as well. So there are actually a few reasons why China would want to capture this guy first. So first is that many victims were Chinese citizens. Second reason is that this guy, Chen Zhi, illegal gambling and capital flight, really did embarrass Beijing. And then the third reason is Chen Zhi, he knew too much. If he stood trial in the US, he could expose the Pandora box that the public never knew before. So the reason why US is deeply involved is it actually goes way beyond this. American authorities indicted Chen Zhi in New York and linked him to scams targeting US citizens and sanctioned Prince Group. The whole pig butchering scams now cost American over $10 billion a year. The US also now holds, one of the reasons, thanks to Chen Zhi, the US now holds 328,000 BTC, worth around, right now, worth around $37 billion. That's becoming geopolitically significant, but extraditing Chen Zhi to China, that would mean no trial in the US soil and uncertain restitutions for victims. So this was actually a strategic loss for US Washington. And the bigger picture here, why this story matters, because this case actually exposed very dark truths of the world. First of all, Southeast Asia became a scam hub because corruption made it very profitable. Second, crypto fraud at this scale is about organization, not technology. And then the third one is without real reform, new kingpins will replace old ones. So there will be new Chen Zhi. Even though Chen Zhi might be gone for now, the system still remain because that system enabled him to become who he was. And unless corruption is addressed, this cycle will continue to repeat. And this is not just a crime story, it's a warning. And we will keep following what happens next, especially what happens to the seized Bitcoin and whether real change will follow in this region. All right, let's move on to the next piece of news is Binance. Binance just launched silver and gold trading, so 24 hours, 7 days a week using USDT, and the timing is not random. Silver is already up 120% in the past year. This is Binance betting that commodities are fully back and traders want exposure around the clock. So let's break it down. Let's break it down exactly what just launched, how it works, and why this matter. Yesterday, Binance launched something called a TradFi perpetual contract. So think of it as traditional finance assets, but traded like crypto on crypto rails. The first two products is the gold and silver, so XAU and also XAG. You are not buying physical metal, you are trading the price exposure but settled in USDT. So yes, that's why it enables 24 hours trading, including weekends, including holidays. So that's a big shift. So why does trading 24/7 such a big deal, or even TradFi like BlackRock is getting into the RWA sector. Because in traditional markets, like gold and silver stop trading and liquidity would drives up and price discovery pauses. However, macro risk doesn't stop. So war don't wait for Monday. Inflation data doesn't care about weekends, and geopolitical shocks don't respect market hours. So what Binance is saying is, if Bitcoin trades 24/7, why shouldn't gold and silver? That's the bridge they are building between TradFi and crypto. So why Binance is focusing on silver, or more importantly, like commodities. So let's talk about silver. Over the past performance, last year performance, silver went from around $30 to right now $77. And that's 120% rally. That's actually more than gold if we do the comparison. So gold versus silver, gold is losing value against silver. And this is just the, especially over past few months, but zooming out, of course, like gold evaluates more than silver. So the reason why silver all of a sudden pumped up so much is because silver is not just a safe haven. It's also an industrial metal. It's used in solar panels, in EVs, in AI hardware and electronics. So silver benefits from inflation fear and AI demand. Binance right now is tapping into that momentum. So how these contracts work, so let's come back to Binance. So how this contract works, that means they're perpetual future contracts. So that means no expiry date, and you can hold the position as long as you maintain margin. You trade them using USDT, and profits and losses are settled in USDT. What you get is that you can go long if you think silver goes up, or go short if you think it goes down. Leverage can go up to 50x, which is powerful, but of course very, very risky. There is no physical delivery or no ownership of metal. This is trading the price, so not investing in bullion. So this is why it differentiates from RWA, because I noticed there seems to be some confusion out there. Perpetual contracts are not RWAs, and this is a very important concept that we have. Like, we are not holding tokenized silvers or metal-backed tokens. This is synthetic derivative, so more like a CFD in TradFi. So price exposure only, no claim on physical silver, and no faults involved. This is still quite useful overall, but very different from proper ownership. So the final key takeaway for this news, this is not just a product launch. This is Binance saying we want to be the place where all markets trade, so all time. Silver's 120% rally gave them the perfect headline, but the real story is bigger. Crypto is becoming a trading layer for global assets beyond just crypto itself, and that shift is happening quietly and right now. So let's take a short break for now, and after that, when we come back, we're also going to build on that and look at the next story of Coinbase, because Wall Street just flipped on Coinbase narrative. And stay with us, and we get back right in.
Security matters. Zappo Bank, the only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here. What's his name?
Oh, this? This is Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
It's not just a cat, he's family.
Quite a name, and I must say, looks quite pampered.
Oh, absolutely. Bitcoin deserves nothing but the best. He's my little prince.
But with such a valuable pet, aren't you afraid of losing him?
Losing Bitcoin? No, it never happened before, so it's not something I worry about. Excuse me for a moment. Bitcoin, stay here, right?
Bitcoin, no! Bitcoin, come on, little buddy. Bitcoin, I need you. Don't go.
In a world far away. Nah, just kidding. This story begins in this world. It all started in 1460 in Antwerp, when the first commodities exchange was created, but the real transformation came in 1602, when the Amsterdam Stock Exchange was founded. Considered the oldest in the world, it was the first to trade financial assets. Over the years, Britain expanded its colonial and maritime influence, and the British pound sterling overtook the Dutch guilder in the market. Thus, the London Stock Exchange became the financial centre of the world. The 20th century came, and the world got into some trouble. But shortly after World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, and the centre of the planet moved to Wall Street. Today, we're travelling at the speed of light towards a new age, an era shaped by the consolidation of Bitcoin as the currency that will define the future of the markets. We present Roxum, a new Bitcoin-denominated market that allows trading all sorts of securities, commodities, derivatives, options, and anything you can imagine. Roxum, rock-solid markets.
Some call me Chicken Little, others Bubble Boy. I'm a bit changed, but sounds familiar, right? Let me tell you a hard truth. The S&P isn't rising, the dollar's falling. That's the trick. Monopoly money. It's ice melting by the second. Your savings, your salary, your time. Worth less every second. Everyone's using the wrong measuring stick. Switch the denominator. Price the S&P into Bitcoin. Hard, fixed, unprintable. Suddenly your unstoppable index, it's collapsing. And while you cling to dollars, well, Wall Street already switched. Before, you needed 2 brokers.
Still getting my ninja bonus though, right?
Plenty of spreadsheets. And my quant!
I hate this part.
I was right, and I'll be right again. If I were you, I'd thank me.
You know my name's Dave, right?
Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for sticking around. We're now going to get into the news of Wall Street and what they are bullish on right now. Turns out Bank of America just upgraded Coinbase to a buy. Not neutral, not wait and see. A full buy rating with almost 40% upside. And the reason is important. This is not about Bitcoin going up tomorrow. This is about Coinbase no longer being just a crypto exchange. So Wall Street is finally starting to see Coinbase as something much bigger. Let's break it down what happened. So yesterday, Bank of America upgraded Coinbase to a buy. Let's go to the Coinbase stock right now. If you didn't know, ticker symbol is coin. Quite simple, right? They kept a price target of $340 per share. That's roughly 38% upside from where the stock was trading. This comes after Coinbase already dropped around 40% from its 2025 high. If you go back to a year ago, its performance is not looking the best. Sentiment around crypto has cooled off quite a lot, and many investors are getting quite cautious. So why the sudden upgrade from Bank of America? Well, that's because Coinbase is changing what it is. The key phrase from analysts was this, like Coinbase wants to become an everything exchange. So that means not just crypto trading, not just Bitcoin fees, but a full financial platform. Bank of America, as how they call it, Coinbase, is the most regulated and trusted crypto native company in the US. That sentence matters quite a lot coming from Wall Street. They are saying, if crypto matches with TradFi, Coinbase is positioned to lead that shift. So what Coinbase has been building and has been rolling out or planning. So first of all, users right now, they can trade US stocks in Coinbase, and they can trade S&P 500 and ETFs all inside a crypto app. This is Coinbase stepping directly into traditional brokerage territory. And second of all, they will be rolling out equity perpetual. So outside the US, Coinbase plans to launch perpetual contracts on stocks, leverage, and no expiry date. That's something traditional markets don't offer easily. This is crypto mechanics applied to equities. And third of all, Coinbase partnered with Kalshi, which is a regulated prediction market. This allows users to trade on elections or economic outcomes or real-world events. So think of it more like financial markets with information markets combined. And then Coinbase is also getting into the commodities market. Like Coinbase have already launched copper futures or platinum futures. So right now we are talking crypto, stocks, ETFs, commodities, all under one system. And the fifth weapon Coinbase has is the Base network. Coinbase layer 2 chain, so Base is another major pillar. There's growing talk about a possible Base token, tokenized assets, and on-chain finance. And this could decentralize parts of Coinbase and unlock new revenue and really attract institutions to on-chain rails. So that's why Wall Street is watching this so closely. If we hop onto DeFi Llama and quickly take a look at the TVL, you can see like Base is a relatively newer chain compared to the rest of the options we have, but it's already sitting at number 5 in terms of the DeFi TVL. So it's sitting at $4.7 billion. So this number is still growing drastically, and with the help and the interest of Wall Street, I'm seeing bright future for the Base network. So why Wall Street likes this shift so much? Bank of America made one thing very clear. Coinbase is reducing its dependence on trading fees. Instead, growth right now comes from stablecoin revenue like USDC and custody service, infrastructure building, international expansion. So that makes earnings actually more predictable and less tied to Bitcoin price swings. And that's exactly what institutions want. However, there's still risk Bank of America still sees, like this is not a blind upgrade. They still flag risk, for example, like rising short interest in Coinbase. If we quickly hop onto the Coinbase stock price, it's not doing the best. For past year performance, it dropped like 5%. Year to date or past 6 months, past 6 months, it was even more painful. It dropped 34% in the past 6 months. So there's also a rising short interest in the stock, and competition is coming from offshore exchanges. Like we were talking about Binance just a few minutes earlier, what we are seeing is a combination. So TradFi is trying to get into crypto, and crypto exchanges is trying to do TradFi stuff. So competition is going to rise from here, especially, and pressure if crypto volume stays weak short-term wise. So this is all the risk Coinbase is experiencing right now. So this is not a no risk call. This is more like a long-term conviction trade. So the final takeaway for this news is Wall Street is finally admitting crypto infrastructure is becoming financial infrastructure, and Coinbase is no longer being valued as just a Bitcoin trading app. It's being valued as a brokerage, market operator, settlement layer, and possibly a tokenized platform. So the shift is quiet, but it's very massive, and it's one we'll keep tracking very closely on Roxham TV. Okay, so let's move on to the final news and let's focus on some local news that's happening in Hong Kong right now. So this one is quite interesting. 2 Pokemon card collectors were robbed at Hong Kong MTR station. So it's the underground stations in Hong Kong at the same time. The total value stolen is about 280,000 Hong Kong dollars. This wasn't random. This wasn't a mistake. It was planned, coordinated, and targeted. And it shows how collectibles are now being treated like cash or even crypto. So let's walk through what happened. So on 6th of January, 2 collectors were targeted within minutes of each other. Both meetings were arranged through Facebook, some Pokemon card groups. Both used the same contact account, and both happened inside MTR stations during busy hours. So here's the detail. Case number 1. So around 3 p.m., a collector met a buyer at Namting MTL station. So the deal involved 19 valuable Pokemon cards, valued at around 200,000 HKD, in exchange for 2 rare some Pokemon cards. And at the last minute, the meeting location was changed. The victim was told not to exit the station. The suspect handed over a paper bag. Inside was another black bag. It looked normal, but the moment the suspect got the real cards, he ran away. Only later did the victim realize the cards he received were fake. The suspect disappeared into the crowd. And this is just one of the cases. Case number 2, it happened in Sha Tin. So just 17 minutes later, another collector was hit in Sha Tin, the MTL station. Different victim, but same online account, same phone number, and same trick. So this time, 7 Pokemon cards were involved, worth around 73,000 HKD, and in exchange for a fake Pokemon card. The suspect asked to check the cards and then he ran. Again, like fake cards left behind. This wasn't coincidence. This was a dual location operation. So how the police respond to this? Both cases are under investigation for now. The police believe at least 2 suspects and possibly part of a small organized group. Cases are being investigated separately for now. No arrests have been made so far, and victims are worried these cases could be treated as minor fraud instead of organized thief. So how this crime works is it's not violent. This was social engineering. The playbook here is pretty simple. They watch Facebook groups and marketplaces. They try to build trust with the victims. They know the card numbers and prices. Then they change location last minute. They choose crowded MTL stations so that it's easier to escape into the crowd. So it's pretty simple, and that's why it works. Some people are asking an interesting question. What if Pokemon cards were being treated like RWA, real world asset? What if we tokenize those Pokemon cards? So the idea is to grade and authenticate the card and store it in a secure vault, issue a digital ownership, digital ownership token, and trade ownership digitally instead of physically. So that would reduce in-person trades, and it would reduce street-level thieves and turn collectibles into secure financial assets. So that method actually is, if so, that would work pretty well, but let's be clear, this is still not a perfect solution because physical theft can still happen. Custody and regulation matter, and many collectors would still want the real thing because they want to be holding the Pokemon card. So anyways, key takeaway of this interesting story, anything that becomes valuable becomes a target, whether it's crypto, cash, watches, or now Pokemon cards. The moment an asset is portable and liquid, crime would follow. For collectors in Hong Kong, this is a wake-up call. The market has matured and now security has to mature with it. And we'll keep tracking the story as police investigations continue. And yeah, that is the last story I've got. Just last call to action before we end the show. Make sure to give us a follow on Twitter. My own Twitter is jamjamcrypto_io. Make sure to follow Roxham TV as well, because we have regular updates even on weekends or even during sleeping hours. So we cover news around the world, not just crypto, not just Bitcoin, but geopolitics or AI or global news. So make sure to give us a follow because there's so much valuable content you wouldn't want to miss. So anyways, happy weekend, happy Friday, and my show is at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. If you don't manage to catch my show live, don't worry, it's also available on both YouTube channels, so on both Jam Crypto YouTube channel and also on Roxham TV. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next Monday.
Security matters. Zappo Bank. The only way to bank your Bitcoin. Apply now at zappobank.com.
So, tell us about your furry friend here.